Hey guys, Chris and Casey Keefer here from Rival Wild and Dropped, and we're going to talk to you a little bit today about a really fun activity in the winter, late winter into spring, which is shed hunting.
Yep, shed hunting is one of my favorite times of year to get out there and start seeing the deer that made it through from last year, the ones that you're looking forward to see come back as 3 or 4 or 5 year olds. It's always exciting. So let's start with the basics. Let's talk a little bit about location. One of my favorite locations to look for sheds are fence crossings.
Yeah, absolutely.
A lot of times you've got fence crossings, especially all across the Midwest, where they're coming from bedding to feed areas and whatnot. And what you'll get is the bucks will walk up to the fence and they jump it going one way or the other. And just that motion of them hitting the ground on one side or another is enough to actually, a lot of times, knock the antlers right off their heads. So fence crossings are a great place to start.
That's exactly right. And the one thing about that, which is kind of nice, if you're lucky enough, you might find both sheds there.
Yep.
But if you do find one shed, you're going to want to look around in that area because 9 times out of 10, you and I have found a shed, searched that area because we know that buck is right there. This time of year, they're using the same corridor.
Yep.
And a lot of times we'll find the second part of that shed. Now, we're in northern Michigan right now. It's snowing outside, and we're going to use that to our advantage. We've been out looking and using the heavy trails.
Yep.
Anytime we can see a heavy trail going in and out of a bedding area, a lot of times we'll follow that trail, and sometimes we'll find a shed laying on the trail, but most likely once we get into that bedding area or yarding area, especially up here, we have jack pines and low cover, and it doesn't get as much snow, so those deer are using that all the time, and when they're in there laying down, they might go back to scratch or something like that, shed falls off, and we're lucky enough to find them.
Yeah, that's another great spot. Creek bottoms, south-facing slopes.
Yep.
They love south-facing slopes, especially in the wintertime, because they can use that natural heat from the sun, conserve energy, and stay warm. So there's a lot of really good locations, but you got to get out there in order to find them. So when do we get out there? That's another big question that you hear all the time is, when do I actually start shed hunting? A whitetail dropping his antlers, a lot of it depends on nutrition and how healthy the deer is. I've seen deer shed as early as December, and I've seen them as late as March sometimes. It just depends on the individual deer, the available food, and how healthy they are, how rutted up they are, and how long they keep that testosterone flowing through their body. So.
Well, I think another thing that's really fun about shed hunting is you get to see what's left on your property, right? So as we go down, like we went to Kansas and we found this shed. This is a buck that we've been looking for a long time. We let him go, let him grow, right?
Yep.
And at the end of the day, we found him. He has the potential to be an absolute giant, and it's just nice to go out there and at least find one side of him and say, okay, he's here, he's in this area somewhere, and it just gets everybody out, right? You can go out there with your kids and your family and just enjoy being in the outdoors and going out and finding big sheds.
Yep, that's exactly right. So shed season is upon us. Be sure to get out there with friends and family, have some fun, go shed hunting, and be alive.